Sky Squad, we are back in the building. And of course, we got to talk about Real Housewives of Potomac. Listen, I don't know if you happened to catch last night's episode, which we are going to be talking about. It's coming up shortly. We're going to talk about all about this burn session. Oh, yes, we're going to get into that. We also have some Married to Medicine tea coming up in just a bit as well. So we got a lot to talk about. But for right now, we got to actually talk about what happens on the next episode of The Real Housewives of Potomac. And Candace is lighting Ashley and Michael up, okay? Not only is she lighting Ashley and Michael up, but she is finally confronting Gizelle. As you guys may recall, last night, we did not get a teaser for the next episode. We just got a to be continued. But the clips were released via social media. So we're going to actually touch on what happened in those clips right now because it's super important. And I wanted to get this out of the way before we do our video today on our recap because I know that today's recap is already going to be extra long. All right, so let's get into it. So in the clip, all right, and I'll place a link to Jay's reality blog so you guys can actually watch the clip. What you will see is the continuation of Ashley saying that she also knows of other DMs. Let me put this badge up here because all this content is alleged, all right? I'm basically giving you a recap of what they said, all right? So just keep that in mind. So Candace says, well, apparently it was her friend Deborah that we had previously seen who said that, I guess, there was also, Chris was, making her feel uncomfortable or flirting with her allegedly, as well as the other DMs that Ashley knows about. So at this point in time, Candace decides, well, I have had enough, okay? She says basically, and I'm paraphrasing, but kind of reading verbatim. All right. She says, your husband likes to go, okay, and leave you and go to whomever. She says the name, but they cover her mouth with a flower in the clip. And then she says, and he likes to go and basically put his mouth on a clunker, okay? And when I say clunker, y'all know what I'm talking about, okay? I'm talking about, something like that, okay? And so, yes, she says he likes to put his mouth on the clunkers, okay? So the group is shocked, okay? The group is major shocked. And so then we have Candiace give us a little bit more tea. Again, all this is alleged, okay?
Not supposed to talk about this person.
But remember, she already said the person's name. So we don't know who it is because, again, they beeped the person's name out and covered her mouth with a rose. All right. Karen actually repeated the name and they covered her mouth with a rose too. Not a rose, but what you call them things down there? Y'all know what it is in DC. All right. The Potomac flower.
But he says Michael Darby is a client of his. It was not.
So apparently, according to Candiace, she has heard that Michael Darby is a client of this person and that he likes to go over there and allegedly put his mouth on the clunker. Okay, that's what Candiace is saying in the clip. All right. Again, I'm just repeating what's in the episode. All right, so there's that. All right, there is that. And so her and Ashley continue to kind of go back and forth. And then the next thing you know, Candiace is actually confronting Gizelle. And then we're going to get into some tweets that Candiace put out last night where she is dragging Ashley and Michael for filth. But let's get into what she had to say to Gizelle first. And in order to pull this up, I'm actually going to go to the Peach Report. And as you guys can see here, this happens after the group disperses. So after the whole argument happens between Candiace and Ashley, Gizelle has already gotten up, and then Candace gets up to leave as well. Outside, Candace runs into Gizelle. And I'll place the links in the description so you can watch them for yourselves. Make sure you support the pages that I also put up there by following, liking, and giving them a comment, letting them also know what you think. However, Candace sits Gizelle down and asks Gizelle, what did you mean? How did you feel in this situation? And Candace is relatively calm. She's sitting there with her glasses on, and I felt like she was having an adult conversation about Gizelle's feelings, okay? And so Gizelle reiterates that she felt uncomfortable. Candace is like, well, let me ask for some specifics because she needs to know, because Chris said it was Gizelle who asked him into the room. And Gizelle says that's not true. Candace also relays that Chris said that, as we saw in a previous episode, that he even said that he wanted to leave the door open because he didn't want any insinuations from anybody else, or he was concerned about the optics. And so at that point, he said that Gizelle also said, yeah, I don't need to be in a situation like that either. So then Gizelle says, well, I don't recall saying that part of it. And so they get to going deeper. And essentially Candace tells her that she kind of goes off in a very, very calm way. But she's clearly upset. She's crying. And she basically says, I've been nothing but kind to you. And I feel like what you did instead of calling me was you went behind my back and you decided to put this on the biggest platform that you could possibly think to put it on, all in the name of embarrassing my husband. She then goes on to tell Gizelle that you are the reason why women do not come forward when they have had these types of experiences with men where something actually happened. Okay. Because as Gizelle said, nothing happened. Right. So Gizelle says she's shocked and she says, I am the reason why women speak up. I am doing women a favor by speaking up about this. Essentially, they are at an impasse and they just decide to end the conversation and they both go their separate ways with their own separate thoughts and opinions. Let me know what you guys think once you watch the clip. Again, this is on the Peach Report for those of you guys who may not be able to see it. So basically, Jay's reality blog has the clip earlier. The Peach Report has this clip. I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say. Also, too, it is important to note that Candace also went in on the Twitter, okay? Went in. So let's head on over to Twitter to take a look at what she had to say, all right? So these have been posted pretty much on all of your favorite Bravo-related, Housewives-related, blogs. But just to kind of go over some of the things that I found really interesting, she says, all BS aside, I cannot receive that Wendy needs to own that she can be a little condescending. Okay. She says, because that's what happened in the episode. The idea was that the consensus among some of the ladies was that Wendy was condescending. And so she was, as per Wendy's request, she had to herself then try to take that in, listen to it, and own it. So Candace continues and says that she rolls her eyes or her neck, etc. Everyone in this group is condescending. Is a condescending a-hole, myself included. Wendy is just darker and rebuts better than the majority. Stop it. Okay. Then she says, ask yourself why you're more offended when a dark-skinned woman reads you versus when a white adjacent woman reads you. Those are your problems. Okay. So I'm assuming she's talking to maybe the Green Eye Bandits as well as Mia. Then she says, don't try this. Then she goes on to say, this drinking but not really relationship Ashley has with alcohol. LOL, let me mind my business though. Then she says, LOL, not wild boar sightings after 8:30 p.m. I'm assuming this is when she was in the episode talking about, she was reflecting on the altercation that she had with Monique at the last vineyard that they went to, which again we'll get into more of in the episode when we recap it at 11, about 11 a.m. And then she kind of goes on. She talks about the single with, the verse from Trina being really, really good for her new single. Um, she then goes on to say or retweet, for Ashley to have 2 kids under 5 and going through a divorce, you have a lot of time for Candace's business. Which I do. Again, I'll get into my thoughts and opinions about Ashley coming to her at that point when we do our recap. But then Candace says, I would also like to. I would also like the record to reflect that I received the text about Forehead's husband on camera. The camera was on me while I was preparing to walk out of my room, and my friend sent me the text that I later showed her. If I had received the text off camera, I would have approached her off camera. So she was referring to that text message exchange from season 5, that she had gotten when she was at Monique's house about Michael Darby, where she and Ashley and Gizelle had a ponderosa amongst themselves. Again, it was filmed because we saw it, but it was amongst themselves and not the group. But it's interesting that she says Forehead's blank husband, and I'm like, eek. So yeah, that's and then she goes on to say, Michael is a predator, ho. These are facts. Again, these are her words. She says, let the record also reflect that Mia admitted last week that she was lying. She also texted me and apologized for lying. Happy to produce receipts. Mia also has commented about this, but it's really just that she says that Chris was staring and she's apologized and she likes Candiace and Chris. Speaking of the Peach report, they said, so Ashley waited to tell Candiace at this event what she was told rather than let Candiace know at her home days prior. It definitely feels like they are trying to create a narrative with Chris this season. Candiace says, duh. And then Candiace also responds and says to Jay's reality blog, who we also mentioned earlier, everything Candiace says to Ashley from this point forward is warranted. Y'all can't say Candiace didn't try. Ashley is just being very messy. Do you guys think that Ashley is being the messy person here, or is she being the concerned friend? Okay. So she also retweeted something that Chris Bassett said. He said, words are only dangerous when it benefits you. Interesting episode so far. And I thought that was interesting because I felt like it was Robin who was indicating how dangerous words can be. Again, we'll talk about it in the episode. Someone else asked, do you think there's any coming back from this? Also, do you think that if you guys weren't on the show, if you can maintain a friendship? And I guess they're speaking about Ashley. And Candace says, I can't answer this the way I want to. All right. So those are some of Candace's reactions from last night's episode of The Real Housewives of Potomac. I do think that hearing her explanations are warranted. I would have liked to see her on Watch What Happens Live last night. We had Wendy on Watch What Happens Live last night, and I can see why as well. But I would have liked to seen her on Watch What Happens Live last night, but maybe we'll see her next week, because I think next week is when all of this stuff is happening. So this is, to me, I think the best time to really have her on Watch What Happens Live after next week's episode, so we can hear from her mouth, her thoughts, experiences, and feelings with regards to the way they are seemingly coming for her marriage. All right. And that's the thing about it too. Like, marriage is precious for a lot of people. And when you make insinuations like this, for me, if they felt a certain type of way and I felt like it was really, really genuine, a real conversation would have been like, okay, this is how this made me feel. Girl, let me call you and tell you right now, right? I don't know, like, it based on what we've seen from Candace saying that she felt like, she's seen Gizelle do plotty things like this before. It just kind of is like, it's a sticky situation. It's a really sticky situation. And if I were Chris, I don't think that I would come back to hanging around with the larger group. I would film with Candace because I feel like now it's become a situation where anything he says or does could be misconstrued, and I feel like it would be better for him to protect himself and just film with his wife at this point. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'll be interested in hearing your opinions. I'm just one viewer, one like just like you. Let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you at the. Oh, we're gonna be reviewing Potomac in just about an hour or so. So tap in for that as well.